thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for opening up so much of your personal and professional life in this book. You've summited Mount Everest 6 different times.
I have.
Is there like a loyalty rewards program when you go up and you get a free drink on your 7th time or something?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, it's a lot of walking uphill slowly. And you all just clap for that.
Yeah. This is a simple question, but what is it like? I mean, the highest I've ever skied is at 13,000 feet. I couldn't breathe, I was freezing, and it was like, get down to warmth as fast as I can. Camp 1 is at 19,000 feet, and Mount Everest is 29,000 feet. What is it like to be up there?
I mean, it's really like your experience, but everything is harder.
So you had 6 beers with lunch right before you hit the slopes?
6 beers with lunch, 100%, yeah.
No. But it's addicting because so many of the characters in your book, yourself included, organize their entire life around this action. And that includes letting everything else in one's life go to shit in a lot of ways.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that there's this idea that when you go and you get that achievement and you receive those accolades, you want to go back and do it again.
Yeah.
But it also feels pretty empty. And
interesting.
That's a weird sort of dichotomy.
Why does it feel empty? You did the thing.
I mean, it's never enough.
Right. We were talking backstage, but what is it like to actually exist at elevations like that, from like motor skills and sleeping and eating?
You're not supposed to. We're not supposed to live at those very high altitudes, and it feels like you shouldn't be there. Everything is really, really hard. Everything takes a long time to do, and it is pretty, but you
that's you right there.
Yeah, so that's just below.
Also, you know what? Technically, that could be anybody.
It literally could be. Just below the summit of Everest without oxygen.
And do you recognize those peaks just from a picture? Like, you know exactly?
I do. Yeah. I like to think I do, but I mean, don't give me a task.
No, that's okay. I was more just... one of the things I love about this book, you can definitely dork out on all the climbing, but you really open up about your personal life, and in particular, the difficulties of your childhood. Why was that important for you to share? I mean, I'm glad you did.
Thank you. Yeah. It's not a book about Everest. It happens to take place on Everest, and my career on Everest has really been about achievement and standing on a summit and receiving the accolades of that. And I've always wanted to explain to people, like, there's so much more. Yeah. And it's not all summits, and it's actually a lot of dark descent, and I wanted a chance to explain that to people. Yeah. And the idea that we can be really flawed and still be deserving of achieving great things.
Yeah. So often in the book, you're describing your personal life in turmoil, and then you would say, and then I went to Alaska and climbed a glacier, and then I biked across Colorado.
It's called running away.
Yeah, I was going to say. Was that the coping strategy and mechanism?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really wild thing when going to some of the most deadly places in the world starts to feel more safe than just being in your regular life. Yeah. And now I can say, like, that's probably not healthy. Therapy would have been cheaper, but I went to Everest instead.
Yeah. Why does climbing Mount Everest without oxygen help you find inner peace, as you describe? And did it? Yeah. Are you at inner peace now? It's probably a little bit of nerves talking to such a celebrity, but, like, are you...
Honestly, yeah.
Why is that funny? It feels like climbers, high-level climbers, it's never enough. Yeah. I mean, you get to the top with oxygen. I can do it without oxygen. And or I want to do it without oxygen. Or I want to do this thing. I want to do this thing. I mean, have you achieved inner peace, the ultimate summit?
The climbing cliches abound, so bear with me here, but, it is a forever journey. There is no neat and tidy summit that we arrive on and we're just enough and then we just have the rest of our life. Yeah. It's just kind of a continuous forever climb, and I'm on that climb, and it's actually weirdly more hard and also more rewarding than climbing Everest, for sure.
I was really laughing at your book when you were struggling,
That's so kind of you.
You were struggling so much with relationships with men, and then you would go do this feat, and I was like, it might be harder to be married than to climb Mount Everest.
Yeah. It was for me in that era of my life, and I wrote an essay about that marriage was my Everest, and it was kind of like the only honest thing I said at that time. And it felt like, oh, this is a joke and people will laugh, and then really I was like, no, it's much, much harder to be married than it is to climb Everest, and such an unhealed way to live.
More technical, probably, to climb Everest than, I don't know, that was meant to be kind of a climbing joke.
That was a good one.
You got broken up with on Camp 2.
Like, actually,
Everest.
a couple times I got broken up with on Everest. Like, I like to do things more than once, you know? So.
I mean, I got broken up with at a bar, and every time I go to the bar, I shake, but it's like every time you go to Everest, you're like, oh, that's where that happened.
No, we go back. Yeah. We go back.
I'm never staying in that tent again.
We go back, we make new memories, and then you take those forward.
Right. Explain acclimation to me. I don't understand that. And you go up, you hang out, then you come back down, then you go back further. What is that?
It's like the silliest thing ever. You know, you have to climb almost to the summit 3 times just to get there once. And so you go up, let your body adjust to the altitude, then go back down.
Still easier than marriage.
Honestly.
Okay, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, and so you just allow your body to adjust. So it takes a really long time. I was just saying I've spent a total of a year on Everest of my life, like an actual year.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I know.
That's so cool. Talk to me a little bit about the Juniper Fund and what it is and why it's important to you.
Yeah, so I co-founded a nonprofit that provides financial support, vocational training, small business grants to the families of high altitude workers, primarily Sherpa in Nepal.
And these are essential, what's the word? Workers, helpers, teammates during this?
It's the infrastructure. You know, it's a human infrastructure of real people whose job it is to make climbing Everest possible. And they don't have an amazing support system when things go wrong. And so our nonprofit provides as much support as we possibly can to the families when something happens.
And things go wrong.
Things go wrong.
I mean, you've experienced and seen the absolute worst. I mean, one of the more harrowing descriptions early in the book is when people are climbing up, there's bodies that get left there because maybe even the families of the climbers want them to stay there, or you can't recover them. And then it's really moving to read, but also you've seen some shit.
I've seen some shit up there for sure. It's not theoretical and
still easier than marriage.
Honestly, it says probably something about people who climb at high altitude and pass frozen bodies and then act like that's normal later. Like that's not normal. It's really, really weird, and it's not normal.
I kind of love that achievement, competitive mindset, and I have to admit that when I was reading that, I was like, I wonder if a college tennis player could have what it takes. Do we have what it takes? Does this audience, some of them more than others, have what it takes to actually do that?
It depends on how hard your childhood was, really.
Okay, I was gonna say. Do we have to have a traumatic childhood?
It's really helpful to have had a pretty hard upbringing, because then you feel like you deserve to suffer, and you're probably more willing to do it.
Would you wish for a less traumatic childhood?
Very honestly, no.
Yeah.
I think that everything that happens prepares you for what's coming next, and I wouldn't have survived some of the things that came next if I didn't start out the way that I did. What
would you say to younger Melissa about romantic relationships with men?
Oh, don't, girl. Just don't.
It's a treat for me to get to talk to such a world-class athlete and achiever, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask you for a life hack, something that you do that's helped you, that we could all steal from you. Does anything come to mind? It can be climbing, it can be anything related. I love getting in the mindset of someone that's done what you've done.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's been the most helpful in my life and helped me survive in so many different scenarios is this really lack of rigidity towards things. So I try to continuously be flexible, willing to change, pretty focused, but not rigid.
That's awesome. And that's very hard. Now, I have a follow-up. I always like the tree in the wind. The trees move with the wind. They don't go like this and then break.
Nature does not favor the rigid.
Right. Medically, you're also trained medically. You talk about being called into emergencies. What should we know medically? What's one thing I should know medically all the time?
You're gonna die.
Okay. Oh, shit.
It is unavoidable.
How is that a life hack?
Yeah, it's just important to, again, acknowledge, focus, but don't be so rigid.
Right. I love that. Thank you so much for writing this book. I loved it.
Much.
Enough is available now. Melissa, Arnot Reid.